Welcome to chessroots.com. Okay, today we're gonna analyze a position, a wrong color bishops. Okay, basically in wrong color bishops, most of the positions will become a draw. But here is the position where black is having doubled isolated pawns on c file, where and having an advanced king on d4. So this is basically plus equal by plus position. The main aim of white should be like stopping this pawn by playing king d1 and protecting this pawn with this bishop. If white succeeded doing in that, this position will become a draw, or if black succeeded in entering the king to g3, then a g2 pawn will be fallen and later he can win the game. So for example, let us consider all the moves here. First of all, we'll analyze bishop g6, preventing of move h5 and f5. Here black don't have much options. He can either play c5 or c6. King cannot come to e5 or f4, or even have to play c3 and lock this bishop. Okay, most of us we will play c3, trying to lock this bishop. Later we can bring this king somewhere on g3 and try to give away this c2 pawn, c3 pawn, and grab this g2, f3 and h3 pawns. That is the only way that black can win. In this position, I think white, there is a good easy way of analyzing this position, a draw position, like white pawn should be on g4, whereas this h pawn should be on h5, and bishop f5, king d1, and that position will be a draw, because this g4 pawn and h5 pawn cannot be captured, and whenever the king comes to f4, he'll play this bishop diagonal to c8 to f5, or else he will play king c2 and king d1 will be a easy draw. So there is no way that black is gonna to allow to push g3, h4 and h5, later g4 and sits the bishop. Even after king comes to e3 and grabs the pawn on f3, these three pawns on f6, g5 and h6 will be easily stopped by bishop on g4, h5, pawn on h5, pawn on g4 and bishop f5. Black, although having three pawns up, this position will be a draw. So there is no way black gonna allow this. So he played bishop f5 after c3 and king e5, king c, bishop c2, king f4. Now now white is gonna try to defend this pawn with king f1, and doesn't want this. If king comes on the queen side trying to make this pawn as queen, white king will simply come to d1 and try to support the pawn, try to not push the pawn to c2. So now what can we do from black side? Okay, here there are two plans for black. One is simply try to fix this king on g3, and later he can push h5, f5, f4, h4 and try to break this pawn with g4, and he can get either f3 or h3 pawn with the king with a passed pawn. So doing this, black will have two extra pawns connected. Let us see how black continues here. So he played white played bishop b1 and bishop h2, trying his black king to come on g3, and white tries to prevent with king f2. Now hold this position, pause for a few minutes, and try to find a good move for black such that he can win this position by force. Okay, now good move is simply bishop g1. Why? Because now the black white king cannot stop the invasion of either king e3 and king e2, and threatens with c2, and this pawn will be soon become queen, where white cannot do anything and capture these pawns on f6 g5 h6. So if king cannot capture the g1, because king e3 king e2 will wins the game easily, and there is no way to stop the king invasion to g3. So after king e2, they simply played king g3 and king f1 and bishop f2. Now black tries to grab all the moves of white, and now there is, now what is black plan to win this game from here? There is no way that white gonna leave this c2 pawn or this c2 pawn. This 2 can be easily stopped, but how can black win after bishop f2? In this position, now white played bishop c2. Now he played f5. The reason why f5 is actually very good move. The reason why is he wants to play f4, fix this pawn on fix these two pawns on f4 and h4. Later he can give away this g4 break, and after hg4 h3, and after gh2 gh3, king into f3 gives a passed pawn on f4, or else if f into g3 f3 and g into f3 king h3 will give a healthy passed pawn on h4. So either f4 or h4, black will get a passed pawn, and as we know that in chess we need two weaknesses to win a game. So here after bishop into f5, king f4 and king e3 wins the game. King f5, king f4, and if bishop moves somewhere else, and king e3, now with the idea of going bishop to g3 or h4, and king d2 will make this pawn a queen. So there is no way of capturing bishop f5. If bishop into f5, black can still play king f4 and king into f2, and king into f5 will wins the game. So here he played bishop b1, f4 and bishop g6, bishop e3, king bishop c2 h5, bishop f5 c5, bishop g6 h4, bishop f5, and now a good move with g4. So there is no point on taking bishop g4. The c2 pawn will become queen. So after h into g4, h3, and h2 will be a queening. So g into h3 and king into f3 gives the second passed pawn, and a very fair chance for black to win this game. And after g5, king g3, g6, bishop d4, h4, f3, h5, bishop g7, stopping these two pawns, and later he can play f3, king f2, king f3, king e3, and king c2 will give him at least a queen on these three pawns. King e1, f2, king f1, king f3, and here he gave up. So this is a good example on pawn break and an opposite color bishops, how to create a weakness on the both sides of the position and try to win the game. Hope you like the example. See you in the next class.